You paid how much for med school?
Hi, I'm Milan.
Hey, I'm Matthew. We were both given the opportunity to ask for a once-in-a-lifetime experience from a certain organization that rhymes with shake a fish. So for our wish, we asked to start our very own podcast. I'm just kidding. I went to Boston, New York to watch baseball.
I went to Paris and you're at Disney, but now we have a podcast too.
Welcome to the Wish Kids. Spring break is coming up real soon, and I am so ready for a break from school. Like, we've only been back in class for, 2.5 months? But boy, oh boy, it has been a long 2.5 months.
Yes, I agree. It has been long, but a break from school is so nice, especially right now with it all online. Like just staring at a computer screen for a few hours a day just isn't really as enjoyable as it was a year ago when this whole thing started.
That's so true. Like, I've seen so many memes about that too, where it's like me staring at the computer for online class for an hour and the person's all sad, and then it's like me watching YouTube videos for 4 hours straight. And it's like you could not be happier watching YouTube or like TV shows for 4 hours straight, but then
Mhm.
like staying in class for that 1 hour is just like so grueling.
I totally get what you're talking about. And it's also like funny because some things I'm like, this could be in an email and I didn't need to like log into the Zoom.
Hmm.
I actually saw this one tweet that was like, funny how March is next month when it was also last month. And that just gave my serotonin a little boost.
Yeah, it's almost been an entire year of COVID and lockdown, which is just
Mhm.
crazy. We're gonna talk about that a lot more in next episode, so stay tuned for that. But as dismal as quarantine has seemed, we actually have made like a ton of progress fighting the virus in the past year, and so much of that is because of all our amazing doctors and nurses and healthcare workers just working around the clock to treat patients and develop vaccines.
Yeah, I really admire our healthcare workers for showing up every day just to help other people. Like, I had a vast appreciation of them before this pandemic with everything I've been through. And but I'm just like so happy that now they are getting the recognition they deserve because it is hard work.
That's so true. Yeah, because you and I have definitely interacted with our fair share of doctors and healthcare professionals in our lives. And I know personally, I've always just had the utmost respect and admiration for what they do, like especially at the level at which they do it. Because I mean, when you're a doctor, every day you have someone's life in your hands. It's there's no messing around.
Yeah, I totally agree with you that it's just like like all the respect that you could possibly have is just given to them because I think even more people are now experiencing like medical situations and realize that the doctors and nurses are putting so much into their work and it isn't easy and it even takes a lot to be like where they are, multiple years of school, the money, the time, the energy.
So much time. 8 years is such a long time for school when you think about it,
Yeah.
for to become a doctor. Because I mean, normal bachelor's degree is 4 years, and then like so many degrees only take 2 years.
Hmm.
But to go to school for 8 years, like well into your mid 20s, just to get a degree and just to enter the workforce
Right.
is incredible dedication.
Yeah, like I constantly think about how self-disciplined they must have been to just get through all those years of school and that investment for not only like them but other people. Like so many people are
Mhm.
impacted by their help. That I
Well,
think
by their
it
health
just
too. Yeah, it's
yes. I just think it takes a lot of dedication to like stay in school that long and study as hard as some of them do.
100%. Yeah, no, all that work for a white lab coat, like, and all that money too. Like, medical school, like you said, it's not cheap. They're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars for a piece of clothing I found on Amazon for $20. It's
Yeah, like what a total rip off, dude. Oh. But yeah, no, you're right. It is actually like a lot. Like when you get down to like the logistics of it and you break it down, like I'm very appreciative of them doing it because it has obviously impacted my life so much as I'm sure it has yours. And
Mhm.
I love all of my doctors and my nurses because
Yeah.
all healthcare professionals.
Shout out
Um,
nurses, definitely.
yes. Um, like when I would get my vitals done, it would just be so fun. And they would ask me questions and I used to like bring them Girl Scout cookies. It was my favorite thing because you know that they love them and their faces would light up. And I just really like and I really enjoy seeing people happy and like feel appreciated.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That
Um
with the that Girl Scout cookies really smart. Did you sell them to them or just like bring them as gifts? Because
no, I
selling
just bring
them,
them. I did actually sell Girl Scout cookies, but I would just bring them as gifts for them. Like they deserved that.
oh, okay, that's fair. Because I was gonna say it'd be like you can make a lot of money selling Girl Scout cookies to the doctors and nurses, but
I mean, yes, but it's kinda like an extra special, like,
mhm.
little treat for them, but thinking more about it, they totally, like, deserve that special treatment.
Oh, yeah, they deserve all the Girl Scout cookies in the world. Like they, yeah. Cause I remember for my birthday, I think one year, I went into the hospital or like my birthday week around that time, and my mom just made a huge plate of brownies, to put at the nurses station for them, and then she made a few like smaller individual plates,
Aw,
for each of the doctors that I had, kind of like extra special treatment for them as doctors.
right.
But yeah, like you said, like they totally deserve that special treatment and special things.
Yeah, their work isn't easy, so
Mm,
it's like I want to reward them in, like, the best way I possibly can, and I do like, I used to really enjoy going to the doctors,
mhm.
and I do miss that aspect with, like, all this online stuff, it just feels so disconnected, but it is worth it to keep everybody safe, but I know, like, even with the online stuff that some doctors are doing where you have to, like, do, like, telehealth,
Mhm.
um, that it's just, like, those people that are coming in, it's still, like, really hard.
Yeah, no, it's definitely the right decision and safer, but I also definitely miss like interacting with them and like seeing all my nurses and doctors and like saying hi to them.
Yeah, because they became my friends.
Definitely. Yeah, like it was I would always like go to the nurses station. I think I said this before, but I would always go to the nurses station after whatever treatment I got just to say hi to all the different nurses I've had. And there were like five or six that like always I always knew and liked, and like I would always just walk up and like hug all of them. Like, oh, how are you doing? How's your school and stuff? It was
Aw,
always so nice to see them.
aw, I like that.
But yeah, it's definitely safer the way it is now, which is good. And they're still doctors are still doing an amazing job in the given circumstances. The craziest thing actually I've realized in the past few months, and just like thinking back on all my experiences with the doctors I've had, is like I've I've always just wholeheartedly believed in and like trusted anything they tell me or say to me. Like,
Mhm. That's funny. That I mean, like, I respect that, because I do trust their opinion too, but there are times where, like, I do my research too, but I think it's funny that, like because they are people who have some authority over like, you're trusting them to know what is wrong with you,
yeah.
but I do like, personally, I just always try to make sure that I do all my research because I wanna be able to have a conversation with them and like have a discussion that I'm a part of and have some knowledge of like, oh, that is what that test is for. And I
Hmm.
totally didn't look it up an hour before I came here.
Yeah.
um, but like I just don't I don't want to be like unsure of what's going on.
That's very smart. No, that's a good plan to do. I very rarely did research before going in. Um, but it's always like you said, it's always fun to try to hold like a conversation with the doctors. Um, and so I would at times I would like try my best to keep up even if I had no idea what they were saying. Like they'd be telling me stuff, I would just nod my head and be like, yes, the swollen lymph nodes that's due to an increase in the cytotoxic T cells interacting with the meninges on the left cleft of course. Yeah, like that's obviously what it is.
Mm.
And it's like I have no
So
idea about
specific.
yeah, no, yeah, no, yeah, but I was just like, yeah, that's what it is. But there are also times where I just politely ask them to like dumb it down for me, where I like
Mhm.
what they were saying for me so I could actually understand it, and not just pretend I understood it.
Mhm.
And I think even when I was diagnosed, like I had no idea what they were saying other than I had cancer. And I had no idea how they knew so quickly too, because they pretty much just like they took some blood and then a day later they knew. I was like, oh, like wow, like that's fast.
Yeah, wait, that's pretty cool that yours came back fast because I'm pretty sure there was a time where they really couldn't figure out like what was going on with me and they were running all these tests and I was doing like online research and like trying to figure all this out. But I think the process of getting diagnosis is hard for not only like the families experiencing it, but the doctors because there's so many things to rule out. So like we can obviously get the best treatment, but just the amount of things to rule out.
Oh my gosh, yeah, no, there's like when you think about it, like how many different diseases and viruses and like how many strains of viruses and like subcategories of diseases there are in the world, there are literally millions, if not billions of different like diseases and viruses. And there are new diseases that we've never seen before that are like popping up and occurring all the time. And so for a doctor to be able to like narrow all that down into one diagnosis for a patient is absolutely incredible and like it's so difficult.
Yeah, like, it's crazy, um, like, the patience to be able to have that, like, "Okay, like, we're gonna problem solve," or just to be able to know, like, what to test for, because that's
Mhm.
sometimes, like, my, like, question is, like, how do you know, like, what tests to even order
Yeah.
to,
Yeah,
like
'cause there's like a million different tests too. Like
Right.
if you've seen the tubes they take your blood in, like there's like
Mhm.
at least like 7 or 8 different colors of the tubes that each
Right.
do different things.
Like, what? That's so cool, though, like, that they, like, can be able to order certain things and not have to, like, like, they're sure they don't have to test for XYZ, but then they, like, know they should test for this just to rule it
Mhm.
out. Yeah,
That's
like,
probably
okay.
all they learn in their 8 years of medical school is just, like, how to color code the tubes. Like, which
What they do.
each year they learn what a different color means.
I think my very informal medical experience comes from Grey's Anatomy.
Nice.
There was
Solid.
this Thank you. There's actually this episode where there was, an incentive to, like, diagnose the patient, and they would get to scrub in on the surgery if they figured it out, and it just seems so fascinating how many different things it could be and all of the different research they did, and it's amazing how they can, like, isolate diagnosis, and I think, like, when I think about diagnosis, obviously, okay, doctors first and foremost, but
Mhm.
sometimes you like you type your symptoms in on Google and then WebMD pops up. And while that is great, I have like found myself reading like nowadays reading medical journals and actual case studies because I just want to be as knowledgeable as I can about different medications and different parts of my medical condition. And while a lot of real life doctors can chime in and say Grey's Anatomy isn't like real life, it does highlight, I think, some of the intense moments that there are in the medical field. Obviously, not as dramatic as Grey's Anatomy makes it, but they're there.
Yeah, there's a lot less theme music in hospitals, I've noticed. I've never been in a surgery room or anything, and then, like, all of a sudden, like, intense theme music starts playing, and it's like,
They
that
got a
would
good
scare
track
me.
list.
Yeah.
We need playlists now in hospitals.
Just Grey's Anatomy soundtrack on the speakers. Good on you for, like, looking up your own stuff and, like, becoming informed by reading, like, actual medical journals and stuff, 'cause those are, like, obviously very good information made by actual doctors and, like, researchers and stuff.
Right.
Um, yeah, no, WebMD, though, it can definitely be definitely can be helpful, but also, I think, very dangerous.
Yes.
It can be very dangerous for people, because they type in, like, 1 or 2 symptoms they have, and then they'll just fall down an absolute rabbit hole. Like, they might
Mhm.
type in, like, a slight headache and, like, soreness in the left side of the body, and then they think their only solution is to amputate their pinky toe. It's like it's not how it works all the time, but I've seen people who, like, anytime they have a slight symptom, they, like, type it in, like, "Oh my gosh, it might be this, it might be this," and then they drink some water and they're fine, or, like, they go to bed, and then the next day you're fine. And, so definitely use, with caution, I guess.
Mhm. Yeah.
It's definitely a great resource, though, for people to have so that they don't have to completely be reliant on their doctors for information about their own bodies, which is
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, it is true that there are some large conclusions that people can like use their symptoms and then end up having different outcomes than what a medical professional would recommend.
Mm-hmm.
I actually saw this one doctor post a video that he asked his patients what they think might be going on with them since they know their bodies better. And I just think that's a really clever way of going about certain things and just very important to check in with their patients on what their feelings are. And as a doctor, he said he would like have more insight on those things and be able to explain why that might not be the case or why their idea of what could be going on with them is actually right. And so I just have to say that I really like when my doctors listen to me and take time to explain, this is why we're going to rule that out, or this is why, we can put that on the table. And you're very good for explaining to us your symptoms.
Yeah, that's really smart for the doctor to like incorporate their patients like that much into it.
Mhm.
Like it's almost it almost reminds me of like when like kindergarten or first grade teachers are doing that stuff in class. We're like, what do you think the answer is? And it's like, well, it's not that. Like,
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I actually wanna chime in and just say one more thing, that when I was a kid and I was sick, I really appreciated that, my parents didn't always speak for me. While it is important that, there's those memes that go around of, like, when you're 22 and your mom's, like, telling the doctor what's wrong with you. Yes, that is comforting and that's great, but, my parents did give me a lot of independence over, like, this is what's going on with me. And I think that helped me feel comfortable coming to them and telling them, like, hey, I'm really sick and I don't feel good. And this is different than regular sickness or the flu that I've had before. So I think it's really good to give children the opportunity to be more independent in their medical like choices, I guess, or like what's going on with them.
I agree with that. That's a very good point to bring up because yeah, like I mean, obviously, no one knows your body like you
Right.
do as an individual, and so no one can really speak to what you're feeling or what you're experiencing better than you can yourself.
Hmm.
But also, it's always good to have an advocate there for you as well.
Yes. Yes.
It
Like, that's that person that's, like, there listening because actually my mom used to always say this to me was, going to the doctor with someone because sometimes you're not always in the best headspace to receive certain information, so you're gonna miss something, and that secondary person there who's supporting you can be able to tell you, "Hey, like, you kinda didn't hear what the doctor said, but this is how you should handle that if you're experiencing that symptom."
mhm. It's very helpful to have someone there
Mhm.
to like yeah listen for you like not only listen for you but also to speak up for you when you can't for
Right,
yourself.
right.
Um, which is very good. And back to your point about like your doctors listening to you as well and
Mhm.
taking time to explain things. Um, that I love when doctors do that too because
Yeah.
I've had some absolutely excellent doctors in my time, just like you have,
Mhm.
where they really care about you, and it's clear and obvious to tell that they really care not only you as a patient but you as an individual.
Right.
All one time though,
But
yeah, I think this is the only time I've ever actually questioned, as our title states, are doctors really that smart? Um, was when I went into a hospital because I had meningitis, and I didn't realize at the time it's actually a pretty serious virus.
Yeah.
Because when I heard I had it, I just started texting my friend and joking, saying like, "Yeah, I got menin." And we exclusively called it menin. Like, yeah, I got the menin. Yeah, oh, it's the menin. Oh, menin's back, and
Laughter as a coping mechanism.
yeah. Well, still to this day, we'll say like, "Hey, remember when I had the menin?" Like, yeah, menin.
Oh my.
Yeah, not best. But I had to go to the hospital to get antibiotics and a few scans just to make sure it wasn't causing any damage to, like my brain or spinal cord
Mhm.
membranes. Because essentially meningitis causes those membranes, which is like the outer layer. It's like a outer fluid layer. It causes them to inflame or swell. And it makes you really tired and also makes your neck really sore. Like I remember mine was so sore to the point I couldn't even look left or right. Like I couldn't turn my neck at all. I was just stuck facing straight ahead for like a day and a
Whoa.
half. It
That
was
does
really
not
bad.
sound exciting.
No, it wasn't great.
Wow.
Anyways, yeah, back to the doctor part of the story. I had this one doctor who was helping me out while I was there. And they were kind of like a Debbie Downer. Like they, um, I think the best way to get through any adversity is always to keep a positive attitude.
Hmm.
Like
Agreed.
I believe that your body follows your mind. Like if you think positively, like good things will happen. And like
Mhm.
you, I think I talked about this before. But like in the morning when you wake up, if you tell yourself, like the first thing when you wake up, if you say I had a good night's sleep last night, then like you'll feel more energized and you'll feel more well rested. Which like, I read somewhere and like I've started doing it and it actually helps a lot.
It does. Yeah. It's like what you
um
put out there.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, but this doctor, anytime they would come in, they would ask me these like negative leading questions. Like
Mm.
instead of how are you feeling, they'd ask me something like, I bet you're feeling pretty bad today, no?
That's interesting that they're
Yeah.
already like kind of putting how like you should be feeling
Hmm.
versus like how you really are feeling.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah, it was but I'd always just smile and politely like disagree. I'd be like, no, I'm actually like not too bad. Thank you though. Like thanks for checking in. And the doctor would always seem so baffled by this. Like, why aren't you agreeing with me that you're feeling bad?
Like, why aren't you feeling worse than you think you are?
Yeah. um,
Mm.
and they also thought I was gonna be in the hospital for like a long while. Like I remember feeling pretty good on the second or third day I was there and asking the doctor like when they thought I could go home. And the doctor each day would tell me like, oh, it's gonna be at least like 7 or 8 days. And I think every time I asked them, they would make it a longer stay too. Like, I don't know if that was an actual estimate or it was just because I was like annoying them by asking when I can go home. But,
Oh
um,
my.
yeah. But then finally on like the third or fourth day, the doctor came in with my blood work, and they were like nearly speechless. Like they just looked at it and looked up and they said something like, "Oh wow, I guess I was wrong. It looks like you can go home." And I was just so happy like to be going home, but also a little bit of like, like take that like to the doctor, like I told you I was feeling better. I knew I wouldn't be here for a week. And yeah, to this day, I think that's the only time I've ever really like disagreed with a doctor or like not believed what they had to say. Um But also, I think that's because positivity always wins. So remember that, kids. Stay
Yes.
positive.
Yeah,
It's
so that is actually a great story. And I think that it highlights that you know your body best. Um,
mhm,
and I do like how the doctor at the end admitted that they weren't correct and that you were able to go home sooner than you thought because that's always a blessing and so exciting.
yeah.
I remember like discharge dates or like being able to leave was just, like, yay, I get to
Hmm.
go outside.
That feeling of knowing you're going home that day, like you wake up and
Yeah.
you're so excited that yeah,
Yeah.
it's the
And
best.
as you said, just a positive and kind attitude is the best way to deal with things. I mean, yes, sometimes it is hard. You can be tired, you will be stressed out with whatever's going on medically, but just making sure to like be kind at the end of the day is very important. And I do like that you kind of stood up for yourself because, again, at the end, you do know your body very well. And it is okay to say how you feel with certain things your doctor says and just
Hmm.
tell your doctor when you don't feel comfortable with what they're saying or that you do disagree because most of the time they will listen to you. And again, never hurts to have a second opinion. Like if you need to go to another doctor and be like, I don't really know if this one diagnosis is the best diagnosis for me and you think that there's more to it, second opinions are always great.
Very true. Yeah. No, the more opinions, the merrier. I mean, unless they all like start diagnosing different things, then it's just confusing. Then it's
Yes,
bad.
and that can be overwhelming, but
Yeah.
I think we can both agree that doctors are really that smart and
Hmm.
they do deserve all of the praise that they get and then some, and just all healthcare workers in general.
Definitely. They definitely deserve all the praise and then some, as you said. Yeah, no, next time, viewers and listeners at home, next time you see a healthcare worker, make sure to thank them. Like buy them a coffee if you're at a coffee place. Just like say thank you to them. Because they work hard. And sorry, one last thing I want to bring up
Okay.
about doctor's visits is that I absolutely love the waiting room music they play in the hospital lobbies that I've been to.
I do agree with you that like the hospital music kind of has a vibe to it. And I
Mhm.
guess that kind of takes us perfectly into our song recommendations for the next week.
Yes, it does.
Matthew, what are your tunes you have for the viewers and listeners this week?
My first song this week is Down for You by Cosmo's Midnight and Ruel. Ruel?
I say rule.
Ruel. Okay. Because it's spelled Ruel.
Yeah, I don't know.
I
Maybe
say
we're all saying
Ruel.
it wrong.
Anyways, he
Okay.
has an incredible voice. He's a really good artist.
He is.
Um this song has a really, really nice grooviness to it that I love. Yeah, big fan of this song.
Yeah, I agree. I actually have so many of his songs saved, so I do agree with this recommendation.
My second song this week is Better by Khalid. Fun fact about this song is that it was my number one most played song from last year on Spotify. And Khalid was my number one artist also on Spotify. So I'm really surprised it took me this long to recommend one of his songs. But this is definitely one of my favorites of his. I mean, clearly because I had as my most played, but it Better is a very good song.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't think you've recommended a Khalid song yet,
I
but
don't think I have.
I do have to flex a little bit. I saw Khalid in concert and it was such a wonderful
No
experience.
way.
Yes. And better does make sense that it is one of your most played songs. It is a vibe that I think you'd enjoy.
I'm insanely jealous of that. Holy cow. There's so many artists I've only started listening to in the past year. I think Khalid's one of them. Like the past like year and a half is when I really started listening to him. But there's so many like him that I just absolutely love to see them in concert now. That's so cool you got to see him.
Yes, I miss concerts so much, and I actually cannot wait to go back to them. I'm low key kind of assembling a list of artists
Mhm.
I must see when this whole COVID situation gets handled.
That's very smart. My last song is someone who I was lucky enough to see in concert once. That's Anderson Paak. He oh my goodness. Okay, if you have not heard his music, you should go and listen to his stuff and watch him on YouTube too, because he's such a talented drummer and musician. Um, there's a news, I think it's a news station technically. It's called NPR, National Public Radio. They do these things called tiny desk concerts where they take a musician and put him into this little studio that's not much bigger than um like a large-ish sized kitchen. And they just super bare bones. There's a drum set in like one corner, and behind them is like a little bassist like crammed into a corner, and like a guitarist. It's like very bare bones, just the music. And they bring an artist, and Anderson Paak has one on YouTube, and it's like I think that was the first time I saw him. This was like 4 or 5 years ago, and my brother first showed it to me. And it's the best tiny desk concert, one of the best music performances I've ever seen.
Oh
Um,
wow.
Probably, I mean, below his actual live concerts, that was really cool too.
Got
um,
it.
I
The
haven't even said my
ranking
song.
system.
The song is
Yeah, I'm like, what?
yeah,
Which one are you
the song I'm
recommending?
recommending is "Come Down" by Anderson Paak. I think by far this is his most popular and well-known song. I think it also might be his best. There's this like nasty good bass line throughout the whole thing. He like I said, he's an amazing drummer. The vibes and the drumming are just absolutely perfect in it. It's such a good song.
I actually remember, I think, hearing him on a song with Mac Miller, and he does have some good work. So,
Hmm. Yeah, Mac Miller has a Tiny Desk concert too. Fun fact.
okay.
I have some of his song recommendations coming up. I think I did one already. But yeah, no, I love Anderson Paak's style, and just his stage presence is amazing too.
It seems like it.
Fair warning, it is a profane song. There are swear words in it. So younger audience, earmuffs, parents, be mindful of that too. But for the older audience, it's a great song. It's a really good song.
That's nice. Thank you for the disclaimer.
Yeah, no, of course.
Um,
Keeping it safe.
well, I think my first song recommendation for this week is going to be Motor City by the Ruen Brothers. This song brings me back to like fall 2018. I would just always play it. And it's just such a unique song. And I really like all of their songs together. Like I have all of them saved. But this song is probably one of my favorites. And I know all the lyrics to it. And I would like put it all the way up. Like I'd put it past 2 clicks.
Wow, that's intense. I had never heard them before you recommended them, but I really listening to it, I really liked their style, and their album cover is super cool too because it's like
Mhm.
super retro, like from the 60s. It looks like Beach Boys kind of.
Yeah.
Like they're wearing like turtlenecks too, I think. And it's like they have an older sound. They have an older sound too, which is pretty cool.
Yes, and I actually really like their style of music. And then like kind of on the opposite side with a newer type of like vibe would be Handsome by the Vaccines. That is going to be my next recommendation. It is an actually like really good song. Every time it comes on, I'm rocking out to it and the band name is fitting for our episode.
Yeah, the vaccines. Yeah,
Yes.
that's good. No, there are some sweet drums in the song, which I've said before. I absolutely love. So it's nice.
I have had my eyes on a drum set for so long. It's blue and it looks so good. I want to play so bad because of the music and songs like this.
Yeah, I that'd be a good purchase. I think you should invest in that because I
Yes.
remember for a while I just wanted a pair of drumsticks,
Hmm.
and my parents were like, "Why do you want drumsticks?" I was like, "Oh, I just want to like play drums on any surface I can, like just like
Yeah.
slam stuff." Like
I used to actually, well, side story, I used to actually take my chopsticks and I would like make them into drumsticks or
that's
like
awesome.
pens. Like I
Uh-huh.
have like a back of
Oh,
pens and I would like click them on stuff. Yeah.
can you like flip it
I
around your finger too, like
Yeah,
twirl
the
it and
like
then
little
yeah.
yeah. And then my last one, last but not least, Fired Up by Grace Carter. It is a really pretty song. I enjoy her music and just I think it's something everyone should experience because it's just a really gorgeous, like serene type of thing to be in.
Yeah, it's definitely very pretty, very relaxing to listen to too. It's a nice, good recommendation. It's nice. Good
Thank
work.
you.
Yeah. Well, we hope you liked some of these song recommendations, and we really hope this episode has solidified your appreciation and love for doctors, or maybe even given you a newfound appreciation for all their smarts and their hard work, because doctors really are that smart.
Show some love to your healthcare professionals. And as always, the Wish Kids wish you well.
Thank you to our moms for moderating and our dads for proving nods and occasional thumbs up.
We would also like to thank all of our wonderful nurses and doctors that we have had along the way and remind you that they are healthcare professionals, not us.
Please keep in mind, any medical information or stories shared and discussed in this podcast are based on personal experiences and are not meant to serve as medical advice. Please talk with your doctor about any medical concerns, questions, and guidance as they are trained medical professionals.
Any brands, corporations, trademarks, or characters in the show, even those based on real people, are purely fictional.
The Wish Kids wish you well.